Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Cooking on the Clock, brought to you by Grace Foods. And today we are actually juicing on the clock. And if you happen to miss our prep with some very helpful juicing tips and strategies, then no worries, I got you. I'm gonna link it below so that you can catch up and jump right into juicing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Your feedback and your support means so much to me. And thank you for all the feedback that I've gotten so far. And today we're gonna jump right into it. So we're making 3 sets of juices. We're gonna start with our green and clean. Then we're gonna jump into our super carrot juice. And then we also have our 1 ingredient power celery juice. And you will know from episode 9 that we're linking below just how important juices are for your overall health, right? Plants have the power to restore and revitalize our body at the deepest level. Juicing has personally changed my life in how I look, in how I feel, in how I show up for myself every single day. I know it takes some effort, but you will soon just get right into the rhythm of it. And today we're using 2 of the methods. We're gonna be using our juicer. I'm gonna be using a masticating juicer today. And then we'll also be using a blender and a strainer for those people who do not own a juicer. As far as juicers, there are 2 main types of juicers on the market. This is important. People ask me this all the time. What kind of juicer should I get? Well, it really depends on how often you juice, what your budget is. There are centrifugal juicers and there are masticating juicers. If you're like me and you plan to be juicing every single day, if you like to prep your juices several days in advance, then I suggest investing in a masticating juicer. I know they are significantly more pricey than centrifugal juicers, but if it is something that you can save up for, it's definitely worth every penny. I owned a centrifugal juicer for many years and it took me through just fine, but they extract the juice in a very different way, or they extract the produce, I should say, in a very different way. It's not as efficient as a masticating juicer. With a masticating juicer, you will get a much higher yield of juice from your veggies and your fruits, and your juices will actually last up to 48 hours in an airtight container in the fridge. Whereas if you have a centrifugal juicer, then your juices will only last up to 24 hours in an airtight container in the fridge. So that's also something to keep in mind. But regardless of which juicer you own, the sooner they are consumed, the more nutrients that you will receive, right? It's actually really important to consume your juice as soon as you can when it's fresh. You know, obviously it tastes best when it's straight out of the juicer, but also it gives you the maximum amount of benefit in terms of nutrition. And the longer you wait, the more the nutrients will break down, all right? If buying a juicer is not an option right now, then no problem. You are simply gonna blend all the ingredients in your blender and you're gonna use a strainer to extract the juice. You can also use a nut milk bag. You can even use kind of a stocking and cut it in half. The stocking basically has very fine holes that make it easy to extract the juice, and it leaves behind the body of the veggies and the fruits. All right, so lots going on today, lots to cover. Let's get juicing. All right, so we're gonna start out with celery juice. This is perfect because it's just 1 ingredient. So if you are just starting out juicing, there's no need to feel overwhelmed or think about all the various different veggies that you have to add. This is perfect. In fact, it has a very unique nutrient profile. 1 cup of celery has more than half the potassium that is in a medium-sized banana. It is an excellent source of many nutrients, including calcium, vitamins A and C and K. And because celery is primarily water, you're gonna get the hydration value, all right? It's very low in calorie, and it actually acts as a natural diuretic, all right? So it helps the body to flush out toxins, it helps your body to reduce bloating. It also has anti-inflammatory as well as antibacterial properties. So celery juice, y'all. All right, next up, let's go to our green and clean. There's so much goodness in this 1 bag. And in fact, you're gonna realize that we'll get lots of servings here, and that's very dependent on, again, how often you juice, what the purpose of your juicing is. We'll get into that in a few. Basically, we have our bell peppers, we have our cucumbers, we have our parsley, cilantro, we have our garlic, we have our ginger, and a little bit of pineapple. And we actually have celery in this one as well. If your juice pulp is wet, you're gonna be able to get a few more ounces of juice by running the pulp back into the juicer so that you can get the most out of your veggies. All right, so next up we're gonna do the super carrot juice. So this is all of our orange goodies right here. And this is the one that we're gonna be using the blender and the strainer, just so that you can see that if you don't own a juicer or you can't afford one right now, then you are not left out of the juicing party, all right? And one of my favorite things to do, especially when I'm using the blender, to create more volume and add even more of a powerful juice, is to add coconut water, all right? So we're using Grace coconut water today, which contains naturally occurring antioxidants. They're called plant polyphenols, and they also have 5 key naturally occurring electrolytes. So these are the electrolytes that we lose when we're sweating, for example. And they are just the minerals that help to keep your body fluids balanced and regulate muscle function. So this juice right here is gonna help your body to recover after exercise and prevent muscle cramps. Remember also, coconut water contains essential amino acids, which are very important for repairing tissues and keeping your heart healthy. So we are gonna blend out, this is a liquid that we're gonna use in the blender. And then blend it up with all of our, so we have our orange bell pepper, we have our 6 carrots, we have our ginger, we even have our turmeric in here, all right? So this is a powerful juice. And we are, at the end of this session, we're gonna have all the juice that we need for the whole week. I'm going to store my juices in glass mason jars. They're airtight, they store in the fridge perfectly. You can even store them in the freezer, but here's what. When you're storing them in the freezer, make sure that you leave a little bit on top, because what's gonna happen is that they're gonna expand after freezing. So if you're storing them in the freezer so that you can have them, basically give them more life, then you want to make sure that you leave a little bit on top. And also very, very important in terms of the storage is that you're gonna make sure that you put these immediately in the fridge so that they maintain their freshness and their high nutrient density, all right? So keep as much air out as possible so that you prevent the juice from turning brown and oxidizing too quickly. And again, make sure that you don't fill them to the top if you're gonna freeze them, all right? So you can either store them in the fridge if you're gonna have them right away. Remember, if you have the masticating juicer, they'll last a little bit longer, but overall, we want to consume them as soon as possible. And one more very important juicing tip is washing your juicer. I cannot emphasize this anymore. You literally destroy your juicer if you leave it without washing it thoroughly. In fact, this is one of the pains of juicing because it kind of takes a little while. You have to make sure you scrub out all of the remains of all of the juices. And there you have it, 3 powerful juices to add to your lineup of prep for the week. We have our straight celery juice, we have our green and clean juice, and we have our power carrot juice. All right, and remember the pulp, it's a lot of produce right here, so don't waste it. There are so many different ways you can use it. When you juice, you'll feel it, there's still so much left. So you can add it to your smoothies, you can store it in the freezer. I would suggest storing it in individual kind of baggy sizes so that they're not frozen in one big block. And you can also make muffins. As I promised, I'll be coming up with that recipe and that video very soon. And you can make your juices based on your juicing schedule. You can also make your juices based on your liking. So maybe you'll try the green and clean and you feel like it needs a little extra sweetness, so you can add a little bit of pineapple, you can add a little bit of apple. You can also just juice the ingredients that you have on hand, all right? So you can follow these recipes exactly to the T, or just mix and match with what you have on hand. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon when we're ready to cook on the clock.